Well, first of all, let me just start by congratulating all of you on this wonderful new space. It's amazing, and good things have already come out of it, and I'm looking forward to what's going to come out of it next. And I thought your video for International Day of Peace was so wonderful and inspiring, so just congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
So a little bit about myself. I'm the UN Liaison Officer for IANSA. This is my third year in this position. Before that, I was working for another NGO called Peace Boat, based in Japan, which organizes global voyages for peace. We have a cruise ship that goes around the world for 3 months with 1,000 people, a peace education program on board, and doing things that bring people together in peaceful ways. So, and I'm originally from California. I got my start in the nonprofit field, working volunteering after university for an NGO in Los Angeles, focusing on the rights of Mexican Americans and Mexican immigrants. So NGO work has always been my passion. I think I was very lucky to have been brought up by an activist father. My father had a conventional job. He was a policeman for 20 years, and then he left it and started doing environmental activism to stop clear cutting. He was an anti-war activist. I used to go to marches and rallies with him. So, and he was always kind of on the side of the underdog. He was concerned about the exposure that farm workers were being, the exposure to pesticides of farm workers. He was, a Caucasian man, and he himself wasn't working in the fields. It was a great concern to him. So, having been brought up in that environment where you're concerned, when a parent figure expresses concern for other communities, was really inspiring to me as a child. It's motivated me throughout my life. So, shall I start talking about nonviolence?
Yeah, nonviolence, or if you could tell us more about any major projects that you have going, or IANSA is going, or anything you're willing to share.
Yeah, so IANSA is working very much at the UN level and also at the grassroots level. At the UN level, we're very much involved in shaping the discussions on small arms and advocating for things like ammunition to be controlled, because ammunition gives guns their lethality. Since 2001, we've been, our IANSA Women's Network has been advocating for women not just to be seen as victims of gun violence, but as people who need to be involved in the planning, decision-making, implementation of policies related to small arms. We need to be there at the table. We're advocating for SDG 5.2, elimination of violence against women and girls, advocating for gender equality. We advocate for stronger linkages between issues related to small arms and the Sustainable Development Goals. So we do a lot of research, we do a lot of analysis, we do a lot of advocacy work at the UN level. And at the grassroots level, every year we launch different campaigns, and our member organizations around the world get involved in these campaigns. So we initiated something called Global Week of Action Against Gun Violence. We promote the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. We've taken the Wear Orange campaign, which started in the United States, to the UN. We've taken it to UN conferences on small arms. We've taken it internationally. So we have kind of a two-pronged approach, working at the grassroots level and then working at the UN level at a research, analysis, advocacy level.
What's the greatest challenge that you face in your current role?
Funding. Because we're a global network, and I'm the only paid staff member for a global network. And fortunately behind me, I have a team of experts who volunteer their time and experts who've been involved with the organization for many, many years and who are volunteering their time because they're very passionate about the issue, committed to the issue. And I'm also fortunate that I have a team of volunteers who help me in this work. Because as the only official employee, that means having to do the graphic design, having to write the reports, having to do the social media, having to have meetings with diplomats, having to do the accounting. So that's the challenge. We could do more if we had more staff members. But it's also, when you do have a lack of resources, then that forces you to be resourceful and to be creative and to find ways to overcome limitations. We don't have a graphic designer, so we'll make up logos using an iPhone app, and it's amazing. Then we spread those logos out, and then you see that same logo being used in a little community in Burundi, or so it's also. Even though we do have a lack of funding, it's not insurmountable.
Hi, I would like to ask, how do you see the use of gun violence in the future?
How do I see the use of it?
Yes.
What do you mean by the use?
I mean, today it's in an alarming rate, and do you think that in the future this rate is going to increase or decrease?
Well, there's a billion guns in the world right now, and every year millions more are added annually. So that itself is
Scary.
It's scary. Yeah. But also, you have to see that there are countries, there are regions that are very aware that gun violence is affecting their development. It's affecting their future, and these countries, they don't want to remain poor and impoverished, and so they're taking steps to work together with other countries around them. So there are definitely positive trends. The issue is the continuous production, which makes it difficult to really curb the proliferation and misuse. But there's also really encouraging examples. How many Australians do we have? Yeah. So I think the case of Australia is one that is really hopeful. In 1996 they had a mass shooting, and they'd had some mass shootings before that time. And that really, but the 1996 massacre really galvanized people to pass comprehensive gun law reform. And since then, it has halved firearm deaths, and for 20 years, Australia didn't have another mass shooting. And my boss, Rebecca Peters, was involved in making that happen. Even before that massacre, she had been concerned about gun violence, and she had she was a law student, so she had come up with a very concrete plan on how Australia could deal with gun violence. So when this massacre hit, she was ready with the plan, and that plan, was largely adopted. So that even though we might not see results immediately, when she was working through her plan, when she was presenting her plan, it might have seemed like a country with a strong gun culture wasn't going to make any significant changes. But you never know when something is going to open up and create an opportunity for all the pre-paving, the hard work that's been done to really then suddenly fill in that opportunity and create great change. So that's always something that keeps me hopeful.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Ms.
Yeah.
Welsh. My name is Philemon. Gender-based violence has been on an increase worldwide, and women all over the world still have to fight hard to be in a position where they are free and more comfortable. What is your position on gender-based violence, and today is the International Day of Nonviolence, and what do you suggest we should do to tackle gender-based violence?
Yeah. So I think honestly, so much of this this violence is perpetrated by men. And in the case of guns, for example, most guns are in the possession of male hands, and most gun violence is perpetuated by men. And women are disproportionately affected by this gun violence. So I think it's two things are necessary. I think women really have to keep working to move into positions of decision-making, planning, of implementation of policies, and have to be involved in grassroots campaigns. And also the men have to work to cut this link between masculinity and violence, this toxic masculinity that has been part of our world for so long. And it can be done. I mean, when I look at the faces of the beautiful men here today, I see men who are not who are not accepting this notion that they have to have a gun, or that being violent is part of their identity as a male. So I think I think the men really have to keep stepping up and rejecting that link of masculinity with aggression and violence. And the women have to keep moving, keep demanding to be at the table when it comes to decision making and planning and implementation of policies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question.
Sorry. I kind of wanted to go on from that. You spoke about how IANSA is really strong when it comes to gender issues, and you as a woman in leadership and your boss, Rebecca, is also a woman. Can you just talk about your experiences as a woman in your position, and maybe your experience, just what's it like working around? So, do you feel any sort of you have to change the way you work or anything?
No, I think. When you go to the UN and you look out into a hall and you see primarily male faces involved in it, it can be daunting. But that's exactly why I should be there. That's exactly why my voice is important. That's exactly why Rebecca or Natalie's voices are important. And we oftentimes find that the female delegates are the strongest when it comes to disarmament. They're the most passionate about it. And they are the ones who are working most from the heart. So I think there's a tendency to do, say, UN. When you think of doing UN level work, there's this notion that you have to do at a very kind of dry way. And I think we very much bring our heart to matter, and our caring and our compassion. And I think that's something that's necessary. It's not the norm, but it's something that we need to keep bringing into the work itself. So for me, I grew up in a very rural area, and when I wanted to visit my best friend, I had to walk on rural roads to get to my friend's house. And my mother was just always so scared before I went out that I would be abducted, that I would be raped, that I would be killed. She didn't have that same fear for my brother. And it was just absolutely maddening to me that I couldn't walk to my friend's house without the fear of being abducted or raped. So I think from a very young age, the issue of gender-based violence, that term wasn't in my head then, but the issue of being a target as a woman is very much in my consciousness, and I'm so sick of the feeling like a target. And I think it's really important as a woman to be involved in turning the tide against violence. be involved in the field of disarmament. It's where we belong. It's where we should have been all along. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
No, it does. I'm just very interested in just women in leadership roles. It's great.
And I feel very fortunate to have Rebecca and my other colleague Natalie, and to Mitzi. I have in my job. I feel like I have very strong women who've been in this field longer than I have, who inspire me. And the men in my organization also inspire me. I mean, David, Michael Beer, and Fred, to see men working hand in hand with women towards peace, towards nonviolence, always just keeps me motivated in the work that I do.
Sorry, do you want me to move on? I've got more questions.
What's your favorite part about working where you are now?
My favorite part is working with my team of interns and co-creating things. Co-creating campaigns together, coming up with messages together, designs together. Like the video message that we created. That's that feeling of co-creation for the common good is the best part of the job.